Kentucky 95, LSU 64. Dion, this one was pretty much over from the jump. LSU was never really competitive in this game. We had talked about Kentucky needing this kind of performance or wanting to see this kind of performance from Kentucky, given that it was the last chance for them to have a game where they should win comfortably. And they did. What did you learn, if anything, about the Wildcats in this one?
I mean, I didn't learn anything necessarily, but I feel like we re-saw some of the stuff we loved about them, the mental fortitude, where it's back against the wall, this team still comes out hungry, gritty, like kind of like an underdog.
Mhm.
Obviously, I think this team needs that feeling more than they need the feeling of like, hey, we're a top five team in the country. So,
Yeah.
I mean, going into the tournament, I think this last month or so is actually going to do them some justice, I guess you could say. But overall, I wouldn't say I necessarily learned anything as much as I was just reminded of who they are,
Mhm.
and continue to be reminded of who LSU is. And
Yeah.
I'm not a coach fire guy because I don't want anyone to lose their job. I have my own 9 to 5. I don't want people to be like, "Yo, Dion should be fired." That being said, listen, listen, if I toss up some stinkers the way LSU's tossed up some stinkers this year, I think I got to hear it. And if someone said it, I'd be like, hey, listen, I get it. I get it.
There's acknowledgement there. There's acknowledgement there. I do think they're probably playing worse than South Carolina is right now. And I am a South Carolina alum. I'm wearing a home field South Carolina shirt, so I'm not gonna try and hide that. But I don't think that's necessarily a homer take or a bias
No.
take. The way this LSU team has been playing recently has been kind of like this. Kentucky, you saw Tagovailoa continue to be the aggressor that I think Kentucky needs him to be. I've swung all the way around on him. Like he's now one of my favorite guys because I think Kentucky needs him to be this. I know it kind of drove them into the ground at one point, but I think Kentucky needs this or needs a guy like that. So I've come all the way around on him. You got three guys off the bench scoring double figures. You also had 7 assists combined between Amari Williams and Brandon Garrison, like using your front court as playmakers, which I think is something you may see them try and lean more into with Jackson Robinson being out. You still had 5 assists from Lamont Butler. The ball movement was back in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
LSU's defense wasn't providing much resistance, but the ball movement was back in the offense that was so good and so um, effortless was back. That's what it felt like to me.
Um, to the LSU South Carolina comparison comment, I think people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, South Carolina has a worse record." Sure, sure, sure. Uh, but South Carolina is so much more competitive in these games. Um,
At Colonial Life in Columbia, yes.
Sure.
Away
Yeah, I
from
mean,
home,
neither one's competitive on the road. So I will give at least I'll give South Carolina like at home they put up a fight. They put up a fight on the road at it's taking me too long to think of the team. It was a good team though. It might have been Auburn or Alabama, but they put Colin Murray Boyles was special. They put up the fight against somebody on the road. But it's just if you told me who is closer to being a middle of the pack SEC team, it is so much closer to being South Carolina than it is LSU. So much closer to being South Carolina than it is LSU. And by the
yeah.
way, like for what it's worth, with that in mind, South Carolina has a legit NBA talent. Like Cam Carter is
Right.
going to be special somewhere in Europe where he's going to average like 30 something points. Like no
Yeah.
joke. And like he will probably participate in that. And everyone, this isn't a slight, by the way. This is going to come off very like slightish. But none of this is a slight. He's going to be special on that like 3-on-3 men's team one day that like Jimmer dominated for years in the Olympics.
The US like Olympic team. Yeah.
Yeah, the one Jimmer was on just forever. Like he's going to be special on that roster, and he will probably get to play in summer league and be special there too.
Yeah.
But like Colin Murray Bowles is like a legit NBA guy.
Yeah. So for LSU beat South Carolina about 2 weeks ago by double
It's tough.
digits.
It's
Since
tough.
then, LSU has not won. South Carolina has won twice, including I think it was Texas and it was somebody else too. Like it was a not unnotable win.
Can,
Texas and Arkansas. That's right. They beat the brakes off Arkansas. So
can I just
I
say?
stand by. I stand by my comment.
Can I
Um,
can I just say?
Yeah.
There was never a world where I thought LSU has won since beating South Carolina. Like there were
Good.
like
Good. Good.
like that's one of those ones where it's like we needed that clarification, but at the same time, we also probably like there was never a world where anyone was like, yeah, you know what, LSU just went on a win streak. I will say
Yeah.
this though, I had no idea South Carolina's won twice in the last couple of weeks.
Beat the brakes off Arkansas, beat Texas.
Go Gamecock.
Yeah.
A lot
Calling
of
their
people,
life a house of horrors.
a lot of people don't know this. Ever since Ralph and I started recording together, not many people defend South Carolina the way I do.
It's true. It's
Not
true.
many, not many people trash South Carolina the way I do too. It's what you get with me. It's ebbs and flows.
Once we got over the fact that Nick Harbor was not who he was in college football 25, Dion has been very on board with Gamecocks. Oh man, just like me to steer a Kentucky LSU preview to something South Carolina related. But back to this one. Last point. Kentucky victory. Thought Lamont Butler played okay. Thought Kobe Bryant played okay. Andrew Carr played okay. Those are guys we all highlighted in the preview as important pieces for this team, both in this game and then moving forward. Did the kind of like I don't want to say iffy play, but lack of overall production from those guys offensively give you any pause about what they can be, what this Kentucky team can be?
No, no. I mean, I think this Kentucky team in the tournament is going to lack offensive production from guys every game. I think one tournament play, defenses get tighter. You're shooting in arenas you're not used to shooting in. Don't they use a different ball too?
I don't think so.
No, that might be something stupid the NBA does in the playoffs. Then
I think it's
that's
same
probably
brand.
that's
Let's
probably something stupid the NBA does. But like it just things are gonna change. You're gonna be away from home for pretty much a month if you're lucky, I guess. And I think it's gonna end in like teams having players not show up.
You were correct. So it's a standard Wilson Evo NXT ball, but because teams are affiliated with different brands and such, there are various balls that are used throughout the course of the season. But during the NCAA tournament, the Wilson Evo NXT.
The ball knower. You know what I'm saying? On and off the court. Oh, on and off the court. Like I know all basketballs that are being used.
Thank you for the clarification.
And you know what I'm saying? Like I just know what I'm talking about apparently. But anyway, back to it. You're gonna get some lackluster performances from guys like Kobe Bryant specifically.
Mhm.
Um, and I think you're gonna have to rebuild that with other guys stepping up. So nah, it doesn't bother me because I think it's gonna happen from time to time. Some guys are gonna show up, some guys aren't.
And they didn't need it in this game, quite frankly, right? So I think that's fine. They close Saturday at Missouri, and I think that'll be an interesting test because I think we've gotten to the point where Missouri may even be slightly above Kentucky, just with the injuries and how well Missouri has been playing. If they can go on the road and perform well in that game and knock off the Tigers, I think then that'll answer a lot of questions. But you need those guys to play well in order to do so, right? So that I think that game will be very telling. Level 4 preview for that game up on the channel later this week, as well as all the other big games across the country. Just make sure you like and subscribe.